Today's forum will last from 12 o'clock to 2 p.m. Obviously, it's going to start about 2:30, but there are two bargaining units represented here today. Local 2325 management and local 3947 non-supervisory. We are jointly hosting this event today. However, the decision to support or endorse a candidate will be the decision will be decided and voted on separately at a later date. I think that's really important for everybody to understand. Local 2325 is going to be having a special meeting, and at our special meeting, we're going to actually take a vote to decide who we're going to endorse. There's another significant part of this that everybody should know. Council 36 will be matching whatever financial contribution we give. I know 3947 does not give financially because of the PAC account. 23 does give financially. So if both bargaining groups endorse the same person, then Council 36 will match whatever amount we give up to $1,000. So, we give 1,000 and then 2,000, and then we per district. So that's per district. So that's good. So that only occurs if we both endorse the same candidate. It's attendance. So there will be 2 candidates from District 1, and there's 2 candidates from District 4 that will be represented today. In the event that someone else comes in, let's say a candidate just shows up, if there is time remaining, we will interview that person. So if someone comes in, we've got some extra time, we will actually give the courtesy of interviewing. Each candidate will be asked about 9 questions. They will have a minute to answer each question with the exception of the last question. And at that last question, they'll have a minute and a half to answer. So I want you all to feel free to take notes. Desmond Fletcher is going to be our timekeeper for today's interviews. And Bob Adams, who is the business rep for local 2325, he will be the moderator.
And 2325, thank you guys always for us partnering together to work on the candidate forum. I appreciate it. Appreciate everyone's input, working on the questions, getting everything done. So for 3947, we will have a special meeting as well because there will be 2 separate votes on if you guys want to get support. The members choose whether we want to support someone or if we have a candidate forum and we choose not to. And if it is not my decision, it is up to the members. So we will have a special meeting as well so we can decide that fact. Okay? So let's see, everybody's having something to eat, wonderful. How's everybody doing? Good. Everybody's good? Wonderful. I heard
Well, ladies and gentlemen, our first candidate is Councilwoman District 4, Emma Sharif. Don't be surprised. If nobody's like jumping,
I understand.
How you doing, Councilwoman?
I'm doing just fine this morning. How are you?
Good. I'm Bob Adams, as you know, business representative for 36. To my left here is Desmond Fletcher, is Vice President of 2325. He will be our timekeeper today.
Okay.
And so you're going to be asked a series of questions, and you're going to have 1 minute to answer most of the questions unless I designate that you have 2 minutes to answer. Desmond will raise up 15 seconds. That means just to wrap up whatever you're trying to say, and then we'll roll the red card to kind of move on to the next question.
Gotcha.
All right, so this, as you know, this is, Ask Me, this is 3927 here, President Coley Fields, and also Coley Fields over there, and also Dan Wilson in 2325, and we'll be making a joint decision, well, a decision separately, we'll be coming together afterwards and make one decision, okay? So to start off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and what is your occupation, and how would that occupation assist you as far as being a council member? And then again, why are you running?
Wow.
And you have 2 minutes.
And then I have 2 minutes to put all these questions together. Okay, thank you. First, let me say thank you guys for taking the opportunity to really come and listen to me today. And it is really great having you guys here. Let me briefly, I started this journey about 18 years ago. It really wasn't something that I really planned to do, but unfortunately, I got here in this position, and I started off the school board. I ran on the school board, ran for the school board, and I was successful there. I ran 3 successful campaigns, and in 2015, I was asked to run for city council. I ran for city council, and here I am today, serving as a city council person, and also representing these employees here in the city, which I truly appreciate and say I'm grateful for. And the reason I'm running is because for the same reason that I went from the very beginning, is that I felt that there were some things in the city here in the city that need to be addressed. And I really want to be a part of being a positive change here in this city, because I do know we really do need to make change here. We need to make changes for us how we do conduct business. We need to be really take a look, very close look at that, because there's some things that we've done, I think, in the past that may not be very beneficial to this city and for the employees as well. And because this city does not survive, nor do you. And so I take that very seriously. I take this job very seriously. And so that's why I'm running for re-election, because I really want to make sure that I am here for the employees, and I am here to make sure that you guys, that your concerns are being addressed and your concerns are being met. And so, like I said, that's why I'm here.
Okay, and tell us your knowledge of the civil service process regarding filling the vacancies and promotions in the city.
Well, the process is that the position should be flown. Someone should be given an opportunity to apply. And then from that process, they take the test, and the person in my hand, I just me. Okay? I don't believe in going to number 8. You got someone at the top, number 1. And I think that that's what we have to be very careful about. We're not here to be putting people in place that we want in place, that are friends of ours, but we're here to put people in place that is qualified to be in these positions, and to make sure that they help us as far as moving this city forward. And that is the process. And one of the things that I would like to see more of is that more employees here that's been here for a long period of time have been given an opportunity to be promoted through that process. And that's something that I'm very concerned about.
Thank you. Employee morale is at an all-time low, which affects productivity in the workplace. What do you propose to increase morale within the city's employees?
You know, when I think about the morale of employees, I think about a lot of different things. But one of the things I think really would be beneficial, I think that the whole city council as a whole need to come together and really try to do something that's in support of the employees. I don't care if it's having a great picnic. I don't care if it be a recognition to the employees. Those employees is really put in a lot for their time, they're working, doing a great job. I think those people do need to be recognized, and I think we should take the opportunity to do just that. Is that I believe in doing that. I think it will increase the morale of the employees, because one of the things, sometimes when you don't have money to give people, the fact that you still let them know that you recognize that they are here, that you recognize that they are doing a good job, that's sometimes what all that is needed. And I think that's what we need to do.
Okay, here's a good one. The city is currently without an active human resources director for over 2 years, as you know. Recruitments for new hires of a high. Employees are not receiving adequate benefit information. Job specs are not up to date. Employee employment issues are not handled efficiently or effectively at times. What would you do to ensure adequate leadership in the HR department in the days ahead?
Well, I will say this. I I've already started the process of speaking with the city manager and also talking to the city attorney regarding that, because I believe that it's time for us to make a decision as to what we're going to do here as far as trying to make sure that the permanent person there that in the human resources department. And because we cannot continue to have the assistant city manager working assistant working that position, so we need to have a qualified person there. And so I've been talking to the city manager, been having this discussion with the city attorney, and I'm going to continue to push that and continue to work with them and continue to make sure that we move forward as far as to get this whole issue closed out and get this issue resolved, so that we can have someone bring a permanent person into the system, because I know it's definitely needed.
Okay, there's been discussions of the city's desire to make the department directors at-will employees. What's your position on this?
Right now, it's something I can be able to support. Because I believe that I do not believe that employees should be able to fear their job. I believe a person should be able to come into work, do their job, and not be under attack constantly because of someone's dislike for them or anything. The person's doing their job. That's what we expect them to do when they come to work, is do their job. But I do not feel that anyone should be under attack in any way because they may not agree with something. I may not agree with someone. I'm just concerned about you coming to work and doing your job. So that's at this point, I will not be able to support it.
Now, over the last several years at least, when we go into contract negotiations, our contracts have been traditionally late. Going into years even after the contract has expired, even multiple years. So how would you ensure in the future that bargaining agreements are ratified and come to terms on time?
Well, let me start off by saying this. A council person don't know what they don't know. That's the first thing I want to say. And because we continue to change administrations, I think that's one of the reasons that's really causing things to happen. One person leave, they make an agreement, another person come in, here's the road. It's like you start all over again. The council, we have to start working more closely with the city manager, and we have to make sure that we are not, you have to work with them, and you have to understand governance, and you have to know that you got to work with people in order for you to get things done. And in talking to the city manager, I'm encouraging them to try to start on time so you can end on time. If you start the negotiations now, you can make sure that the negotiations is completed within that period of time. But for something to go on for years and years and years, I'm not quite understanding why it has to go on for so long like that, because it shouldn't be. Once you start the negotiations start, negotiations should be completed, and we all should be able to move on to the next level.
It has been said from City Council, from the dais, that the city is financially solvent at this point in time. Do you foresee any issue with not granting bargaining units or raises during the next bargaining cycle?
Right now, we are in the middle of doing the audits, and right now, some of the audits we don't know exactly where we are financially. I mean, as far as the physical impact of the city right now. I know a lot of people talk about the $42 million that we owe, $42 million in the number. I mean, ever since I heard this number, it's never changed. And at some point, the number should change. So is it $42 million? Is it less than $42 million? If it's more than $42 million, that's something we really do not know at this point. And that's something that I'm hoping that, once the audits are complete right now, we just finished the 2016 audits. And I'm waiting for them to finish the audit. So this way we have a better idea as to where we are when it comes to our physical situation in the city. And once that is done, I mean, for me, I have no problem with you guys' raises because I believe that you guys do deserve raises. But I would like to make sure that we take a look, we wait until the audit so we can find out exactly what we are physically.
Okay, so what is your strategy for winning? And in that, what are your campaign goals? What are your campaign's financial goals? And what will it take to get you over the top?
Well, to take me to be over the top is going to be you guys. Thank you. But your support. Right now, my campaign goal is $35,000. I've raised 25 of that, and I'm still continuing to raise money right now. I have a very strong team that I put together, people that's working with me. My consultant is a very strong consultant. He's been in this business for years. And so I have a very strong team of people that I've been working with. And that's really been out there walking and phone banking and doing all the other necessary things that we need to do in order to try to make sure that I can be successful in this race. I've been talking to the communities, and I know where my community stand with me. I know where 4th District is when it comes to my position. You know, I can't win all the votes, but I tell you what, I think I have a very good part of the ideas where I stand.
And if you can, in the next up to 2 minutes, if you can kind of just summarize anything else you would like to add.
You know, the only thing I can say is this, is that as a city council person now, I am here humbly asking for your support and your endorsement for my re-election. And if you take a look at my record in the past, one thing I've never done is that I've never voted against any raise for any of you. I've always been very supportive and been very vocal about that, because I do believe that you guys deserve that. I believe that you need to be treated fairly in the workplace. I do believe that you guys need to have an opportunity for promotions here in this city. You've been here, some of you have been here for 20, 30 years, and you do deserve to be promoted. And I'm very interested in making sure that process is followed through, where you guys can have that opportunity and that chance to do just that. And so again, like I said, I really appreciate you guys allowing me the opportunity to come in and speak to you today.
All right, thank you for your time.
I want to introduce Mr. Richard Alatorre. He is a candidate for District 1.
Good afternoon, folks. How you guys doing today? Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous because I wasn't prepared. I wasn't invited today. I just got invited like a few minutes ago. So I ran through a suit on, so it might be a little wrinkle, but I just came over and just want to meet you guys. Okay. So I'm probably I'm local 11 right now. So join you guys.
Okay. Hi, I'm Bob Adams. I'm the district rep with Aspen District Council 36, and to my left is Desmond Fletcher, who's the vice president of the management group 2325. You're being the people in the audience are employees of the city of Compton, representing both Aspen locals, and the president Van Wilson over there is for the management group. Holyfield next to him is the president of 3947. I want to ask you a series of questions. Most of the questions, we're going to give you 1 minute to answer those questions, except for the first question and then the follow-up at the end. Okay? So I'll just kind of start off by asking, so tell us a little bit about yourself, and this will be 2 minutes. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and in that, what do you do for a living, and how does your occupation will assist you as far as being a council member? And then finally, why are you running?
My name is Richard Alatorre. I'm a candidate when it comes to city council, born and raised in the city of Compton. I'm a blue-collar worker, a member of the local 11, IBW, union worker. I went through a 5-year apprenticeship program with the union, a strong union. So I know we wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, we work those 8 hours and get an 8 or 8. That's just our motto. The reason why I ran for Compton City Council is because we've been failed. We've been failed by everyone that's been there for 8 years and have done nothing. If you look through our streets, look through our faculty, you see why we're here. And I'm a big supporter of Compton. And the reason why I can fix Compton is I know how to fix Compton. I know construction. I have a 10-year background just in general construction of how to fix potholes, how to fix streets, how to clean, do labor work. Mostly that's what I'm like. We can have all people up in city council being, you gotta have some blue-collar workers out there. You gotta have blue-collar workers out there that can benefit us and know how to do everything done. Not know what's glorious. I was at a city council meeting saying, we're going to do a later slurry, we're going to fix roads, and everybody cheered for it. I go, hey, slurry's not the way to fix roads, it's just combine the package the streets where they won't work anymore. But everybody got excited for that. I understand that slurry's not the way of doing it. it's about refreshing each street little by little. But I think I'm going to be a good candidate because I have a strong structural background and I can help you guys out.
Thank you. Regarding the employees, tell us your knowledge of the civil service process as it relates to filling vacancies and promotions.
People don't understand here, we're all going to be 55, 66. We're all going to grow up. So every vacancy that I see in my local, I'd rather give to someone that's higher up in the trade longer than I have, because they can't work as hard as the young ones can. You can't get out there and get their hands dirty. They're more of a knowledgeable, they're all more of a, what do I want to use it, more, you gotta live up to your elders. So how I say, I'm a foreman in my job. When I get an older gentleman that's 55 years old that comes to my crew, I don't relax, lead the other guys, be the lead, not the performers. I'm in charge of it, be the lead, take your time. Because she's been in trade for 20 years. They're the ones that belong up there to have the supervisor positions because they know the people, they know the streets, they know the job, they know the time.
Okay, and the employee morale is at an all-time low in the city of Compton, which affects productivity. What would you propose to increase morale?
Like I said, what I do for a living, I'm out there in the field working side by side next to my guys. I work side by side next to them. I'm not there in office, air conditioning office, relaxing, pointing fingers, or writing notes. No, I go out there side by side. So I get the morale about, I like working for this guy. You work with them, I bring them lunch, I bring them food. I keep them on their toes, I keep them hydrated with it. Not just water, but extra things like that, gators and stuff like that, to give them the morale to keep up the good job. You gotta give incentives. Why do people don't vote? Because they're not getting anything in return. Once again, give incentives to your workers, that will help them work harder and want something. Good leadership. And we're all local right now in St. Albans, we don't have good leadership. Everything's just going to the dust. So leadership is a key option. You gotta work with your team side by side, show them, hold their hands, walk through it. If the leader has to go through training again, they have to go through training again. But you start from the top.
The city of Compton is currently without an active human resources director. And because of that, recruitments for new hires are behind. Employees are not receiving adequate benefit information. Job specs are not up to date. Employee employment issues are often not handled efficiently and effectively. What will you do to ensure adequate leadership in the human resources department?
First of all, we have to all, everything comes into a vote. We all believe in it, we all recommend people that can take that position, and that's been working for the city council for a while. And we have to vote who will be the better leader, who knows the job, who's a person that everyone likes and who could benefit in that area. That's how you do things. I'm a little nervous, excuse me, guys. But you have to give, okay, I recommend this person, this person, this person. This is a person that's been in this department for a very long time. They know what they're doing. It doesn't matter about anything else, except what they know they're doing and what they can help their people. That's what you have. You have to have the right leadership up there. If you don't have the right leadership, then it's going to fail. The plan will fail.
There has been discussion of the city's desire to make department directors at-will positions. What's your position on this?
Making a position at will, can you give a little more?
At will meaning that they don't have civil service rights. For their jobs are at will, they can be hired and fired at will.
No, that's what we're unions for. Everybody makes mistakes. If they keep on making a mistake over and over and over, trust me, we have to get rid of them. That's just how it works. You can't come in constantly, you're not showing up on time, you're missing days. Is that what you mean? Is that your question? You gotta give a bit of it that people with life struggles. People, we want to know, he hasn't been in for a week. Why hasn't he been in for a week? Find out why. Is somebody missing in his family? Does he need help in something? No matter what, you're here to help each other. That's why you guys are unions. We're here to bond and benefit each other, not just take advantage of each other. Oh, I thought his business is he needs to be on. No, so you relax. So it's like a good comeback. If he's there for the last 1 year, he's done a good job, and he messes up a little bit. Hey, why does he mess up? How can we get where we need to get where we need to get him at?
For the last several years and even many years before that, the contracts for the employees have been late. As far as there's been gaps of contracts that went on for years. what will you do to ensure that our bargaining contracts are done on time?
Comes into leadership again, folks. Like I said, I'm a union electrician. I work for the Wash Shea corridor office over here in the Sequoia right now. They give us a lot of free time. They give us cars, they give us trucks. They send us off on our tasks, and we got this much time to do it. Sometimes it doesn't get done, sometimes we don't want to get it done. Once again, it's the leadership that's guiding that person to get that job done. The reason why those contracts are rolling over and doing this versus us looking over them. Oh, we don't have instead of looking for fixes, we're looking for this bolt, we're all the way 2 weeks and we'll order it. No. You have to go look for this. I guarantee you that another job site, you go find that that needs to get done. That's why it doesn't get done. It's the leadership. The people that are overlooking these contracts, we can't. I know they understand they're our friends. When you come to construction criticism, when someone's doing something wrong, hey, tell them they're doing something wrong. This is what's going on. This is what you can do better. Like I can show you so many different projects that I went through and have done that you guys will understand. I'm a leader. I can get things done. I lead people by tens and tens of people. Sometimes I have 10, sometimes I have 15 people, but I lead them because I understand what it needs to be done. I go look for the problem. If I need to fix this to have this thing, I'm going to look for it. Yes, it may take me 30 minutes to go look for it, but I will go look for it.
Now, council members have currently stated from the dais that the city is physically solvent. Do you foresee any issues with not granting our bargaining units raises for the next agreement cycle?
We live in Los Angeles. Everything goes up. We know that. It never goes down. That's what I'm a big candidate for Brenda Detroit. You gotta get raises. Usually it's $1 every year. You gotta keep it up. You gotta keep it up. We give these big contracts out, paying $1.8 to fix these streets, so we can't take care of you guys, the people that represents us. The people that are running against their own over there, they don't wake up 8 in the morning like I do, like you folks do, get your kids ready to take them to school. They sit there parked at 10, 11 o'clock in the afternoon, sleeping in, coming when they want to come in. I'm the guy that goes in with you guys, works the hours I need to work, and I'm here. So yes, we do deserve a raise. Gas goes up, so we're going to stay at a certain pay because gas is $4 a gallon. We're going to stay like we make. No, we need to hear you guys. People have to understand that. I'm behind you 100%, and I will be there because I'm one of the guys that will call over you folks.
Thank you. I want to ask you a little bit about your strategy of winning. And in that, what are your campaign finance goals, and what will it take for you to be victorious?
Everybody in this room from Compton, I see a lot of faces that I see them fly when I walk in City Hall. I'm running into one of the strongest families in Compton known to from politics. And they're good people. When we have here, it's a great person. But it's a strong family. Coming from somebody I'm funding my own campaign, meaning like every penny I have is going to my campaign. I'm laying on some bills because of that, but it's walking, talking to people. People have to understand what needs to be done to see their Compton. They see these pretty flyers, they see these pretty signs. They are pretty. You see these little ones right next to them. Why do you think they have them that way? Because they've been doing this for a long time. So my idea is walking. You'll see me 3 hours a day, walking every day. People ask, you don't have a lot of people with you because I can't, and I tell all my union brothers this way. When I walk in campaigns, I walk for Hillary, I don't know, against that 4 years ago. I walked to Measure P, Measure S in LA. You have to make them understand. You're walking face to face and talk to somebody. They send a line out there. I can't send someone out there that's going to go there, knock on the door. I'm going to knock on the door, get there, and talk to them face to face. This is what the plan's going on. If they don't get a message for me, they're not going to understand what I want to change. So walking's my strongest one.
Thank you. And if you can summarize, I'll give you up to 2 minutes to summarize anything else that you want to say.
See, the workers are coming. You guys have to understand here. I'm a candidate that wants change. Okay, I haven't had a chance to show change. I show a little bit on my personal blogs and my personal Instagram, stuff like that, what I have done, what I can do. You have to understand that the person that's been running, the people that are running, they're not workers like this. They're not. They don't understand what it takes to build a city. They think, okay, they're all run by their own candidates. You know who they're run by, you know who represents them, and that's going to be their puppet. I'm running my own campaign, folks. I'm telling you, I have guys out there hitting the streets just like I am because I want change. The people that are going to be running, they owe people that from their campaigns, from their fires, and all that other stuff. I don't know if there was anybody except my dad. Because my dad gave me a hard time all the time. Understand, I want you folks. They're not blue-collar workers. They're out there in their suits and ties just asking for a handout, waiting for their next paycheck. I'm not scared of them. I walk in the streets, I knock on their doors. I knock on their neighbors' doors. I'm not. You need somebody that's not scared of anything that's going to back you up no matter what. If someone else anything else never says they're not with you, I'm with you. Because I'm a blue-collar worker. None of them are. They don't understand where I'm at, and I want to be with you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Alatorre. We want to thank you for your time.
Thank you guys.
And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce the councilwoman for District 1, the incumbent, Councilwoman James Arena.
I stand right here. Okay. Thank you.
How you doing, Councilwoman?
I'm doing good. How about you and everyone in here today? Good. Thank you. Let me take my good look around the room so I can focus on the questions.
Councilwoman, I mean, you already know who we are. I'll introduce ourselves anyway. My name is Bob Allen, business rep with National District Council 36. To the left of me is Devin Fletcher, Vice President. He's going to be our timekeeper for the questions. Every question, we're going to have about...
1 second. I didn't know I was just going to shut it in. Let me turn my phone off. I thought you guys would sit me down. All right. So let me just set my purse down so I can get comfortable because there's no way to set it up there. Thank you.
You're
There's no
going
shelf on here, it's fine.
you're going to be asked several questions, and each question will have a 1-minute response. Devin will hold up a 15-second thing for to kind of conclude your thoughts, and then at the end he'll hold up the red for you to stop. And then on the 2-minute question, you'll have 30 minutes. Thank you very much, as well, to let you know what's going on. So I'll just kind of start off and start asking questions. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and in that, what you currently do, and how what you currently do assists you as a councilwoman, and also why are you running?
Okay.
2 minutes.
Thank you. I'm Councilwoman Zarita, born and raised in the city of Compton. When I came into council in 2011, the city treasurer had a press conference a few weeks later and said that the city was 2 pay periods from being bankrupt. And here we are today, 2019, and we are financially solid. Under my leadership, we put together a financial team to stabilize the finances of the city, to bring the departments in functioning order, to try to maintain a healthy working environment, and also to provide an adequate amount of public safety to the citizens of the city of Compton. I'm running because I think I'm the most experienced. I don't have to come in here and tell you all what I'm gonna do. I can come in here with a track record and tell you what I have done. I have helped to make all employees whole. I have helped to provide services to the city of Compton. I'm not new to the city. I don't come and solicit you all at election time. I'm here all the time. I'm here to help. I'm here to do whatever I can to assist in making a healthy working environment and also a healthy living environment for the citizens of Compton. I'm not new to Compton. My family has served this community for over 60 years. Some of you probably had some family members that received some of the services from my mother from the Meals on Wheels program, who served over 3 million meals to shut-in senior citizens here in the city of Compton. Thank you.
Councilwoman, can you tell us your knowledge of the civil service process as it relates to filling vacancies and promotions?
The civil service process is the civil service process. I come from a family of civil service workers. My father was a civil service worker, and you have to follow the process. You have to advertise for the jobs. You have to do the competitive process. You have to pick from the eligibility list, and you have to keep the process pure and fair. Thank you.
Employee morale is at an all-time low, which often has an effect on productivity. If you're reelected going forward, what would you propose to increase morale?
When I'm reelected,
I like to see some employee of the month, some employee of the year. I think we need to go back to some of our activities that the employees once had here, Christmas parties, to give some Christmas bonuses, some holiday bonus, some employees that actually, I think we should even create a department of the month or a department of the quarter. Some departments that follow the process, that follow the policies. You know, some departments have kind of shied away from following the policies that have been put in place, and I think that if a department together can strive to be department of the quarter, I think you would have more camaraderie, and I think everyone would work better together. Thank you.
The city is currently without an active HR director. And because of that, recruitments for new hires are behind, employees are not receiving adequate benefit information, job specs are not up to date, employment issues are often not handled efficiently or effectively. What will you do to ensure adequate leadership in the human resources process going forward?
Well, you know, unfortunately, ever since I've been on the council for 8 years now, the HR department has been held hostage. And a few years ago, we did increase the salary of the HR director to attract some qualified folks to come into the city. But right now, any elected official, any person that comes up here as a candidate can tell you 100 great things that they're going to do for the HR department. But until it is released from the legal department, there's not a whole lot that can be done. And I'm not going to stand up here and tell you guys what I'm going to do and what I can do, because as far as it relates to the HR department, there's nothing I can do. Thank you.
In the past, there's been discussions about the city's desire to make the department directors at will. What's your position on this?
You know, I always relate to the people as the people. And I don't think anyone should work under fear. So I say no. I don't think anyone should work as feeling that they're under attack. I think the civil service process was created to prevent that from happening to employees. And I think that employees should perform. I think directors should perform, but they should also have some protection as well. Thank you.
For many years, our contracts have traditionally been late as far as negotiations and ratification and approval for city council. How would you ensure going forward that future contracts are ratified in a reasonable time?
You know, I have supported every employment contract that has ever come before me. And as you all know, that this is a contract city. This is a charter city. And in the charter, there's reference to administrative interference. There are some things that I have absolutely nothing to do with, no control over. As an elected official, I'm basically the policy maker and to move the city forward, pay the bills, and approve the contracts that are brought forth. But with the ability and the flexibility that I do have, I make sure that the contracts, that the city manager listens to the unions and tries to get everything possible to make a person feel whole, because I believe that everybody is valuable. I believe that everybody's time is valuable, and I believe if you pay a person or give a person what they think they're worth, then they'll work harder and they'll have more pride. And I believe ownership is pride, and I believe everybody should have pride in their job and feel like they're being compensated for what they do. Thank you.
You stated earlier that you felt that the city was financially solvent. Do you foresee any issues with not granting or borrowing units raises for the next agreement cycle?
You know, as I answer the citizens on the street, I can only tell you the truth, because if I stand up here and lie to you, all of you all will see me in the hallway, and my credibility is at stake here. So a lot of the financial issues right now are solely based on the state audit. And if the state audit allows for some raises or some pay increases or some extra bonuses or COLAs, I support it. You know, I believe, I've been a worker all my life. I have had nothing for free, and I've lived a pretty good life. I have not missed a meal, as y'all can tell. So, you know, I believe that people need to be compensated. And as you know, I have fought very hard with LA County Sanitation asking workers to get what they are deserved. And that fight has been going on for almost 4 years. And I just stood up and I said, you know, enough is enough. We gotta bring an end to this. And I believe that, you know, a lot of you folks may have some opinions formed about me from what somebody else may have told you. But the one thing that I can firmly stand up here and say that I will always fight for what's right, no matter who it is, as long as it's right. Thank you.
Now, Councilwoman, what is your strategy for winning? And in that, what are your campaign finance goals and what will it take for you to be victorious?
My strategy is to win. And my financial campaign has been very, very good. Are you asking me to, so I'm clear, are you asking me to give you the dollar amount that I've raised?
However you want to answer the question.
So it's public. I mean, you guys can pull the public document. I've raised probably, I'm not really sure because I don't handle all the paperwork in my campaign. I have a campaign team, but I would say that we probably raised about $50,000, and I'd say that we probably spent about $45,000. But, you know, my goal is to win. My goal is to serve another term because you all are the employees that make me great, and you know how long it takes to do anything. And in these first 8 years, it was just getting things rolling. And in these next 4 years, I think that the citizens, the city, and the employees can really see what the last 8 years were spent doing. So I really humbly, I really anxiously, I really excitedly want to win another term. Thank you.
And Councilwoman, I'll give you 2 minutes to kind of summarize anything that you want to tell us.
Okay, well, I'm proud to say that I was endorsed by the Compton Fire Department. I was endorsed by a unanimous vote by the LA County Federation of Labor. I'm endorsed by Congresswoman Annette Barragan, Senator Steve Bradford, Assemblyman Mike Gibson, Supervisor Janice Hines, Supervisor Mark Lee Thomas, board members of the Compton Unified School District, Makai Ali, Sandra Zarita, Margie Guerra, Charles Davis, Tom McCoy, Isaac Galvan, and some of the other board members that I sit with on the Mosquito Creek Abatement Board and the Metropolitan Water Department. And I believe that to be a successful politician, you have to have relationships because nothing in politics can be done by I. It takes we. And when you get a we of 3, people call it all kind of things. Gangster, who riding, who banging, you know, all kinds of stuff. But what 3 means is getting things done. And I have relationships that stem all the way back from my mother. You're gonna have some people that come up here and talk about they sat at the table on every level, state, county, federal. But when you sit at the table as an elected official, it's a different position than sitting at the table. You actually are working your vision, your goals. You're not pushing somebody else's platform. So the one great thing that I can say about me in closing is I know what needs to be done. I know where we're at. I don't have to come in and start all over again because as all of you know that have been here over 10 years, every time management changes, every time leadership changes, everything starts all over again. So I know those of you that don't live in Compton, but you've worked in Compton a very long time, and I know that you want to give the citizens of Compton a better quality of life. You want to provide services. Those of you that work in the street department, you get calls after calls after calls. So I think now it's time that we actually show the citizens what the city of Compton can provide. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman.
Speaker is going to be Mrs. Michelle Chambers. She is running for the position of councilperson for District 1.
Good afternoon, Ms. Chambers.
Good afternoon.
I'm Bob Adams. I'm the business rep of ASME District Council 36. And to my left here is Desmond Fletcher. He's going to be the timekeeper. And so I'm going to ask you several questions, and they'll take 1 minute we'll give you 1 minute to answer each question, unless they designate 2 minutes. And he will hold up a sign, give you 15 seconds to wrap it up, and then the rest out obviously means to stop. And we represent the city, a number of city employees, 2 locals of ASME in the city of Compton. President Van Wilson is over here from the management supervisory group, and Cody Bills is at the end for 3947. And so in the audience is a mixture of both locals. Okay, so I'll start off by asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself, and in that, what is your current occupation, and how does that occupation assist you? Will that assist you in being a council member? Also, why are you running? I'll give you 2 minutes to answer those questions.
Okay, thank you for that question. I apologize, I'm a little raspy, but good afternoon, and thank you for having me today. My name is Michelle Chambers, and I'm running for Compton City Council District 1. I have over 27 years of government experience in federal, state, and local, and I am a former ASME local member 2545 in Council 13. I was a representative, I was a steward, and I'm well informed of the union responsibilities and the importance of the union. My current position is Senior Field Deputy in the California State Assembly. This position affords me the opportunity, if I am your candidate, this affords me the opportunity to work with legislators in Sacramento, to work with lobbyists, and to make sure that we're receiving our fair share of resources here in the city of Compton. As your representative, that is exactly what I would do. I have the relationships in Washington, we currently have them in Sacramento, and very familiar with that lobbying process to ensure we do get our fair share. So that is how I will use my current position in assisting in the city of Compton. And again, I have over 27 years of government experience.
Can you tell us what your knowledge is of the civil service process in Compton as it relates to filling vacancies and promotions?
You said the civil service?
Civil service process regarding filling vacancies and promotions?
Well, yes, the civil service process, of course, the positions are put out to bid, or excuse me, or flown, excuse me, we still use that word as a civil service employee. And then employees, of course, take the test, or who are those qualified to take the test, and if they're qualified, they go on the list, and they serve to choose those at the top of that list for that position. As in promotions, that is for internal employees, who, again, the position is flown, those who currently apply, and those who feel they're qualified, they take the test, and then if they're a successful candidate at the top, they're selected.
Thank you. Employee morale is at all-time low, which in turn affects productivity in the workplace. What would you do to propose to increase morale for the city employees?
Well, you have to remember, our employees are the face of our city. Anytime we're going to treat our employees with respect and dignity, they're going to show in their performance. I think the morale is low because employees feel unappreciated. They know we're not hiring. We should be promoting from within for our employees. We should be saying thank you. We always hear what the employees do wrong. If we ever said thank you to our employees, we should not have your peers controlling positions and controlling you. That is not how this works. City council should not have control over you. City council's position is to work with the city manager, who in turn work with the department heads. I don't think another employee should be running departments. The other employees should not be running the city and should not be building employees.
The city is currently without an active HR director at this time. And as such, recruitments for new hires are behind. Employees are not receiving adequate benefit information. Job specs are not up to date. Employee employment issues are often not handled efficiently or effectively. What would you do to ensure adequate leadership in the HR department if you were elected?
You said to ensure...
To ensure adequate leadership in the HR department.
Well, surely I work with the city attorney on addressing the HR director position currently. I've said in council many times, this issue was constantly in closed session. We need to address the current position, and then we need to have a director in there that is qualified and provide our employees with adequate training and work with our city attorneys on resolving other human resources issues, but more importantly, making sure those that are in positions are qualified to be in those positions. That is also an issue with employee morale. We're putting people in positions who are not qualified and skipping over other employees who have been here for a long time, who deserve those promotions and chances. And as a human resource director, we have to make sure that the human resource director has what they need to adequately perform their job. They need training. Employees need human resource training. Only way we can properly assess an employee's level of expectation is by through human resources and making sure that they're adequately evaluated and that they're also willing to get promotion opportunities.
Recently, there's been discussion by the city, their desire to make department directors at will. What is your position on this?
I'm totally against that. That is a ploy for others to use that as a mechanism to get rid of department heads who they dislike and disagree with. And that is not what we should be using our position to do. That is not what any other employee should be using their position to do. People have families. And just because if someone doesn't like someone or you say something that someone doesn't like, then they're without a job. That is absolutely no. I disagree. I think they should remain in the union.
Many years when we go to contract negotiations, our contracts have been late, being ratified, being negotiated, being ratified, and of course presented to City Council. It has been behind many years in most aspects. What would you do if you're elected to ensure the bargaining agreements are ratified prior to expiring?
Well, that is the great experience, part of my experience that affords me to answer this question as being a former union member. I know how important it is to work under contract and not to let the contract expire. We know when a contract is going to expire. We've been working with our department heads, working with the unions, and making sure that we're ready and we're ratified in a timely manner. Employees want their paychecks on time. We want certain bills on time. We want our things on time. We deserve your contracts on time. Same thing for the fire department. We should not be holding employee contracts as ransom. And that's what happens in this city. I will sign your employee contract if this happens, if this doesn't happen. That's absolutely unacceptable.
Council members have stated that the city is financially solvent. Do you, and if this is so, do you foresee any issue of not granting our bargaining units raises the next coming cycle?
You said, do I see the next part? I'm sorry.
Do you see any issue with not granting our bargaining units raises for the next coming cycle?
I think that should be worked into the budget. Again, having the experience, we need experienced representation on this dais who knows the issues on the budget, who know how to allocate money properly. Absolutely, but the first part of your question, I'll just repeat the first time I went through my post, Bernie.
That the council members have said that currently the city's finances are solvent.
No, they're not solvent. According to Betty Lee, they're not solvent. No, they're not solvent. We need to financially assess the income resources we have in this city, allocate monies appropriately, not misappropriate to our departments so our employees can adequately do their job and provide the resources to our residents. And absolutely, employees, if they're worthy, they should receive raises. That should automatically be in their budget.
What is your strategy for winning? And in that, what's your campaign finance goals and what will it take to get you over the top?
The first.
Okay, let me start.
We got the questions.
Yeah. Okay, what is your strategy for winning is the main question. In that, what's your campaign finance goals and what will it take to get you over the top?
Of course, my finance goal is about $25,000, and to get me over the top is communication. As I go out throughout the community and I speak with employees and I speak with residents, I constantly have to make them aware of, one, how important it is to have an experienced representative representing you. Two, the truth of the fiscal dire straits of this city. This is the issue. This is where we are. You're driving around in it every day. We see the blight. We see the darkness. We see the public safety issues. So when they see that, they're like, you're right. And we're not even getting to the taxes and the water portion of things. But constantly remind the residents of what they deserve versus what they've been receiving. And when you look at the two of those, they're not matching. They're not adequate at all.
Okay, Ms. Chambers, we'll give you 2 minutes to kind of summarize. Anything else you want to tell us?
Sure. Again, thank you again for having me this afternoon. As city employees, again, you're the face of this city. It is very important that we take care of our employees and treat them with respect and dignity. When you come to work every day, your main priority is to, one, provide for your family, and two, someday hopefully retire. That is not what you've been receiving. It's important that we as a council provide you with the services that you receive, but also protect you. You have a voice. You have a vote. No one has the right to decide for you who represents you. No one has the right to decide for you who you vote for. You are your own person. You make up your own mind, and you choose the representative who is best to supply you with your life sustainable resources, as well as in this community. That is your only position. Do not worry about anything else, because like I stated, as a former union member with 27 years of government experience, I possess the relationships and the resources that we need to move this city forward. I really would hopefully expect and would appreciate your endorsement. Again, I thank you again for having me this afternoon, and God bless.
Thank you.